Hello. This is my tutorial on how to create 3D image using free software involving the GIMP and GMIC here. You can go to this website and download GMIC. That's what you will require to make the 3D images. And you just go download GMIC for GIMP. These 3D images will be compatible with nVidia's 3D photo viewing software. And generally, I'm only using it with the 3D Vision. nVidia 3D Vision, though the program seems even more adept to doing the sort of green and red sort of colored glasses. Okay, so we're just going to make a very simple one where the depth map will actually be the same as the final image, which is just going to be like a sphere on a black background, which is pretty simple. Obviously, it doesn't have to be that simple, but just as an example. Okay, there's where my toolbox is. Okay, let's get this back to set to black background. You'd get your, for some reason I can't select the ellipsis tool. If anyone knows what that's about, you can select it from here. Ellipsis tool, let's get this a bit bigger. And just put a circle anywhere. You can drag it around and try and make it roughly like a circle, I guess, but it's up to you. Okay, you do the blending tool. You probably don't want it going all the way to black, because then it will be merging into your background, so you want to stand out a little from the background, so make it less gray. The idea here is that the black will be what appears furthest from the from your eyes, and the white will be what appears closest to your eyes. There's probably lots of tutorials on doing depth maps and stuff for various things, so if you need to get better at that, I'm sure you can find that on other videos. The main thing here is to show how you can do it using free software, because I believe I've seen like a tutorial involving Photoshop, but obviously we don't all have Photoshop. So there's like the sphere, and you can see it sort of looks 3D-ish. Then we can duplicate the layer to make the foreground layer. Obviously sometimes you'll start with the foreground layer and then make the depth map behind it. The important thing with this program that we're going to use is that the depth map must be below the actual image as far as the layers. Okay, so we're basically happy with that. Make sure when you start using the filter, which I'm just about to show, that the foreground layer, the actual layer that you want to, the actual image you want to see, not the depth map, is selected when you start the thing. And also make sure, as I'm going to do now, that you don't have a selection box around any of the items, that you've selected the whole image, or similarly you've selected nothing, because otherwise it'll just focus on that spot. So go to filters. If you follow the install program, it should just appear in GIMP, and you should be able to this GMIC or whatever. I found some good settings to use with my sort of nVidia 3D Vision. It's -15 for far point deviation, 15 for near point deviation, 0 for the rest. I think these gamma compensation and color boost slightly affects the image, especially if we've got a color image, so I think you can set them into 1 pretty safely. 0 for and flick glasses adjustment, because that's not really what we're doing. You select stereo, pair, big, auto crop, bidirectional. It won't, and use individual depth map is also important to select, because we have a depth map. Otherwise it'll try and censor it itself, but I don't know how successful it is with that. Make sure when you select the input output, as it says here in this comment, that you select active and below. That's why the active is the actual image you want to see, and below is the depth map, and so it needs them both as inputs to use the individual depth map function. Okay, so we just apply that. It's an alright idea if you're doing a complicated project to save it before you do this as a GIMP sort of native file format, so you can edit it later, but seeing this is pretty simple, we're just going to continue on. Okay, so that's what it looks like now. Not much to see. And then you can go File, Save As, and then you can save it into the JPS format that's used in the nVidia programs. which is a very simple format apparently, because it's just the actual JPEG format, and then I guess it cuts it in half to create the 3D image. So you just need to select JPEG and then change the file extension to JPS. And then you can change the name and save it wherever you want. But you need to make sure after you select this that you switch it to JPS, otherwise you won't get the JPS. But you can always change that later. And then save. It'll give you an error saying that the file extension doesn't match the chosen file type. You can ignore that. And then you can go here. Now I can check it. Obviously this will appear just blurred, but you can see that as you go further out from the sphere, this deviates more, so you get this sort of cross-hatching, and then this should be at the same point on both images because that's the thing that appears closest. And yep, just putting on my 3D glasses, that appears pretty good. It has varying effects. The more complicated the image, the less sort of the worse the final effect is. But I mean, it's an easy way now to just do it with free tools that are freely available. So I hope that was somewhat informative for you, and thank you very much.